You may all be seated. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Madam El-Rufai, your brother, His Excellency, Deputy Governor, Architect Yusuf Balabantex, members of the Executive Council of Kaduna State, the Speaker of Kaduna State Assembly, Right Honorable Amir Abdullah Shagali, Excellencies here present with us and being represented this morning, members of the diplomatic corps, captains of industry here with us, our traditional rulers, and recognizing the presence of His Eminence, His Royal Secretary with us this morning, His Royal Highness, Emir of Kaduna, and other traditional heads with us this morning. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the pen and microphone industry, we recognize you for your presence this morning, and we are happy to have you all here to attend this auspicious ceremony that we're having, the second of its time, which has been captured as KadInvest 2.0. Last year, His Excellency invited the world here. And in that meeting that we had in this hall, an interaction of brains took place. We will be getting to know more of what was discussed. But before we get it all started, let us give thanks, praise, and worship to He that was in the beginning, He that still is, and He that will forever be. We'll call for an opening prayer here. And may I invite the Director General, KadInvest, Ibrahim Husseini, to come forward to take the closing prayers for us.
Welcome the world to this second edition of the Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit, tagged KadInvest 2.0, with the theme, Making Kaduna the Investment Destination of Choice. It is my sincere wish that you all are enjoying the serenity of our dear state. In the bid to make Kaduna great again, the present administration, led by our amiable Governor, His Excellency Madam El-Rufai, a committed and focused leader, recognizing the importance of investment promotion and job creation as the cardinal stones in the rejuvenation of the state. This informed the need to institute our annual Economic and Investment Summit, with the maiden edition held last year, to leapfrog the economy of our state beyond our peers and move Kaduna into the global economy. The essence of our Economic and Investment Summits is to showcase Kaduna to the world and attract the much-desired investment needed to revolutionize our state's economy. The maiden edition of KadInvest was a huge success by all standards, and it gladdens my heart to know that the investments subsequent to last year's summit were massive. The results of last year's edition are still coming in, and this year we are resolved to make Kaduna the investment destination of choice, your own investment destination. We all know, because resources are finite, investment decisions are harder and competitive. Investment decisions are harder. Destination choice is the key economic factor that determines where investors take their investments. This is yet determined by a number of other factors. Key factors that determine the destination choice for the investors, be they local or international, include the environment of business and ease of doing business therein, the returns on investment, the quality of resources, both human and natural, economies of scale, government regulations, proximity to markets, infrastructure, among others. This administration has spent the last 2 years working innovatively to make Kaduna's business environment healthier, friendlier, safer, cost-effective, and more profitable for the investor. We are very conscious of the fact that we are facing challenging times in our economic history. Hence, our keynote speaker will speak on promoting investments in the midst of economic challenges. When you juxtapose the theme of this year's KadInvest and our keynote address, you will agree with me that we are determined to make Kaduna your #1 investment destination, the investment destination of choice. I feel highly elated and honored today standing before you as board chairman of the Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency. I am optimistic that with KadInvest's laudable achievements in a short period since its establishment, we will all continue to work harder to raise the bar as we all work to make Kaduna great again. I wish to thank everyone who has contributed immensely to this success, from His Excellency, the able Governor of our state, to the board management and staff, and stakeholders of Kaduna. On behalf of the government and people of Kaduna State, I again welcome you all to Kaduna State, the center of learning and a world of opportunities. Be assured that Kaduna State is open to business. Thank you.
His Excellency, the Governor, Kaduna State, architects and other matters there. On the program list, what we have next is the opening remarks by the Chief Guest of Honor, His Excellency Chief John Odigiri, Chairman of All Progressive Congress. We are to announce to you that the Chairman of ABC is attending another program in Abuja today, and we'll be giving all assurances that he will be with us tomorrow. There's a unveiling of the economic recovery team which is happening in Abuja, so the ABC Chairman will be with us tomorrow. We move on now, and this time, let me also announce that what we're having here is being carried live by Channels Television. And we're happy to say that in our midst today, we also have the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, Channels Television, and Chairman, Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, Mr. John Momo, with us this morning, of course, in partnership with Kaduna State Government. I now invite Right Honorable Amir Abdullahi Shashaki, Speaker, Kaduna State House of Assembly, to take us on the role of legislature in investment promotion. Right Honorable Speaker.
His Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, Madam El-Rufai, His Excellency, Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, Architect Yusuf Barnabas Badabantes, members of Kaduna State House of Assembly, His Eminence, Sultan of Sokoto, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, participants, members of the State's Executive Council, good morning. I'm highly honored and privileged to be here present at the second Kaduna Investment Summit, which has the theme making Kaduna the investment destination of choice. Indeed, it is the destination of choice for the fact that all environmental and social factors attached to investments are found here. We are therefore grateful to our Creator for blessing us with such opportunities. We are also thankful to the Almighty for blessing us with our leader, the dynamic and vibrant Governor, Kaduna State Labour Province, His Excellency El-Rufai, who right from day one on assumption of office has set out the machinery for making Kaduna State great again. We have seen and still seeing, witnessing the tremendous change our dear state is receiving under his leadership. Kaduna State is now a safe haven for investment, for businesses, for tourism, and above all related peace and stability enjoyed by citizens of the state. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests and participants to the summit, it is my pleasure to say that I am highly humbled and to state that the Kaduna State House of Assembly under my headship has been very supportive to the executive arm of government in the state, and it will continue to do so in line with constitutional provisions and other parliamentary processes to play a role that deepen democracy and values. Thus, the roles played by the legislature are so enormous. The legislature, as an arm of government, is constitutionally mandated to carry the functions of oversight, representation, and lawmaking. These functions, if effectively carried out, constitute a critical factor in successful private sector investment. This because Parliament is the only public oversight institution with the constitutional mandate to oversee the implementation of policy by the government, scrutinize public expenditures, to favor provision of infrastructure to attract and improve investment, influence and shape policies that is conducive for investment through the lawmaking process, and represent business concern and needs in decisions making. By exerting the oversight authority during the budget process and in the development of medium and long-term economic strategies, the Kaduna State House of Assembly works harmoniously with the state executive and guide economic policy toward economic diversification, investment attraction, and ease of doing business in the state. Through its legislative functions, the present Assembly has passed laws from inception which are so critical to the development of our dear state in the area of peace, stability, access to land, ease of business registration, improvement of status of the site, providing guarantee for governance, protection of rights of the government and its people, improvement in the revenue base of the state, thereby making Kaduna State an investment hub. The laws so far passed by the Assembly and assented to by our indefatigable governor are as follows. Kaduna State Geographical Information System Law, Pension Reform Bill Law, Kaduna State Primary Healthcare Delivery Agency Law, Prohibition of Street Begging and Hawking Law, Control and Management of Public Finances of Kaduna State, Substance Abuse Law, Establishment of Kaduna State Facility Management Agency Law, Kaduna State Review of Kaduna State Master Plan Law, Public Procurement Law, Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency Law, Prudent Public Expenditure and Financial Management by Fiscal Responsibility Law, Water Sanitation Law, Tax Qualification and Consideration Law, Amendment of the Local Government Administration Law, Appropriations of Funds for Local Government Areas Law, Appropriation of Funds for both 2016 and 2017. The Assembly is at the moment working on a number of bills which will be passed in no distant time to further create an investment-friendly atmosphere in the state. Legislative works are almost completed, having received a lot of inputs, memorandum, suggestions, and observations from relevant stakeholders of the state, and the conduct of public hearings to that effect. These bills are as follows: religious preaching law, witness protection law, child rights bill, administration of criminal justice bill, penalty code law, bill for pre-medical examination, peace commission bill, planning Budget Commission Bill, Kaduna State Land Use Regulation, Kaduna State Transport Regulatory Authority, and the Kaduna State Road Agency Bill. Also, very soon the Assembly will attend a newly introduced bill which seeks to establish the Kaduna State Quality Assurance Authority. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests and participants, before I conclude, I would like to say that it is the belief of the Kaduna State House of Assembly that all these laws will open up trade and encourage or create incentives for private sector development and regulatory frameworks that provide control for how private corporations operate and also improve the socio-economic status of the state for the benefit of our people, businesses, and the entire country. The Kaduna State House of Assembly will remain focused and still reiterate its support to the executive led by His Excellency Madam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, OFR, and investors that we are at all times ready to promulgate laws that will boost and create enabling environment for businesses to not only survive but to thrive in our state. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attention, and may Almighty Allah bless us all.
Another round of applause, please, for Right Honorable Amin Abdullahi Shagali, the Honorable Speaker, Kaduna State House of Assembly, where there is a great respect, synergy, and understanding between the legislature and the executive, and that is why they are thriving very hard, and that is why Kaduna is soaring above all other states. Thank you, sir. If you ask me, a layperson, what is it that an investor requires? I will say ease of business, comfortable policies, focus, and a very good environment. Well, these are what we have as platforms here in Kaduna through the able leadership of a quantity surveyor, a proficient personality, an intelligent and well-traveled person who wants what he has seen and enjoyed the world over to be replicated in his state and enjoyed by all and sundry. This morning here, join me, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to invite for his great statement in unveiling what he has in store for us today. That is KadInvest 2.0, making Kaduna the investment destination of choice. Permit me to invite Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, OFR, Governor of Kaduna State. Your Excellencies.
Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, the Speaker of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, the former Governor of Cross River State, my brother and one of the best governors we've ever had, Governor Donald Duke, His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto, my brother, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to observe also. I have about 50 slides to present in 30 minutes, so I'm going to be very fast. I want to join my colleague, the Deputy Governor, to welcome you all to Kaduna for the second edition of the Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit. What I would like to do in the next 25 minutes is to present to you what happened last year since we had the last summit. What have we done? Because one of the issues we are determined about in the Kaduna State government is for this not to be a top shop. We hope it will be an annual event, but we also hope that every year we report to you what we have achieved in the previous year while unveiling the plans for the succeeding years. So we'll give you a brief overview of 2016, and then where Kaduna State is today, what we are doing for 2017, and where we hope to take the state going forward. I'll finally end with a sales speech, giving you reasons why you should invest. Next slide. So what happened in 2016, since the last summit? We have tried to continue our job of streamlining government. With the support of the State House of Assembly, we have advanced in establishing a solid legal and regulatory framework for investments in the state, while leveraging the participation of the private sector in key sectors. Last year, we unveiled the State Development Plan and created agencies to drive it. Today, we will go further by God's grace. But these initial steps were necessary to keep the state on a sound footing to take us out of recession that has gripped the entire country. This slide summarizes what we've done in various areas. In the area of the economy, we firmly established KATIPA and staffed it. We established the Kaduna Internal Revenue Service, a new agency with centralized functions for tax collection. We also abolished the Ministry of Lands, Survey and Country Planning and established the Kaduna Geographic Information Service as a one-stop agency on all land matters. We have before the State House Assembly a mortgage foreclosure bill that will make it easy for residents of Kaduna State to have access to 15 to 20-year mortgages to buy their own houses. In the area of security and justice, we have bills before the State House of Assembly to advance the justice environment. The Vigilance Service Bill, Witness Protection, Administration of Criminal Justice, a new penal code which all the 19 northern states adopted, a Peace Commission Bill to work on peace building as well as regulate religious preaching. We have this at the various stages at the State House of Assembly. In the social area, we have a new pensions reform law. We established a primary health care agency, Community and Social Development Agency, which is supported by the World Bank. Our Child Rights Bill and Schools Management Bill is before the State House of Assembly, while the Water and Sanitation Law has been passed. In the areas of governance, we continue our reforms of the public service, but passed key legislation in the areas of public procurement, fiscal responsibility, as well as transforming our Ministry of Budget and Planning into a Planning and Budget Commission. This is before the State House of Assembly. We also sent a bill to reform the local government system, and by God's grace this year we'll have local government elections using electronic voting. It will be the first time any state in Nigeria does. So what about capital projects? We have completed or advanced to near completion many capital projects that we announced last year. We've renovated over 400 out of our 4,000 primary schools. We've supplied street lighting all across our metropolis. Work on the 300-bed hospital has advanced. We're upgrading primary health centers such that every pregnant woman will have access to prenatal, natal and antenatal and postnatal care within 5-kilometer radius. We are rehabilitating secondary schools, constructing township roads, intercity and rural roads. And last year, we delivered fertilizer to our farmers in cooperation with Flour Mills of Nigeria at 4,000 naira per bag without any subsidy. And the results are clear. Agriculture is booming in the rural parts of Kaduna. We hope this year to commission the water project, and we've also undertaken drainage works all across the metropolis. So this is more or less what we've done in the last 1 year. But where are we going? Where is the Kaduna of tomorrow? Our vision is to make Kaduna great again, make it a state where there is abundant economic opportunities and prosperity, social inclusion, peace and security, good governance, and improved quality of life for all the citizens. It was in pursuit of this last year that we unveiled the Kaduna State Development Plan 2016 to 2020, which focus on jobs, social justice, and prosperity. I will just go through outlines of that plan which we presented last year. It's a 5-year plan, and it provides a strategic framework to realize our vision to plan and finance priority projects, as well as monitor results on the ground. It was also a platform for us to engage with our citizens, and indeed, most of the plan was crowdsourced. We put drafts on the web and got feedback from our citizens. The result was a plan based on 2 foundations and 2 areas. The first foundation is one of governance, centered around citizens' engagement. We hold town hall meetings regularly with our people. We establish service delivery institutions, and we are trying to improve our human capacity to deliver. The second foundation is security and justice, to prevent crimes, protect lives and property, and introduce efficiency and fairness in justice administration. But our main focus is on 2 pillars. The first, economic development, particularly in sectors where we believe we have competitive advantage like agriculture, mining, and manufacturing. We're also looking at supporting sectors, growing our financial services sector and our telecom sector. On this foundation is infrastructure, the enablers that will enable economic growth. And then the areas of social welfare, education, health, we are promoting culture and entertainment and focus on female empowerment. So our hope is that in the year 2020, Kaduna will be a destination for business investment and the food basket of northern Nigeria, where all citizens have access to quality healthcare and education, live and move freely without fear of harm, under a transparent and accountable government with a highly motivated and efficient civil service. I'll now look at the pillars very, very quickly. In the area of economic development, one important pillar is to reduce our reliance on federation accounts by growing our internally generated revenue. This we have succeeded in doing to some extent because we moved our internally generated revenue by more than 50% within 1 year without increasing any taxes from 13 billion to 18 billion. We've broadened taxpayer registration and collection, and indeed in 2016 we added over 400,000 new taxpayers to our taxpayer database. We have improved the pace at which we do land allocation, and we are signing certificates of occupancy at a very, very fast rate of over 300 COs every week. We've maintained our capital expenditure ratio at 60/40 and also maintained a sustainable debt position in line with the debt management office criteria. We've continued to work on eliminating waste and other unjustifiable expenditure. We've worked on improving economic growth through investment in economics and social infrastructure. Today, by God's grace, we will unveil our infrastructure master plan for the next 30-something years. We'll also unveil today sector implementation plans, because for each of these sectors, we got the ministries, departments, and agencies to develop implementation plans for the purpose of monitoring. Now let me speak a little bit about the infrastructure master plan. As I said, later today we'll unveil this master plan, which looks at the infrastructure needs of Kaduna State from 2017 to 2050. This master plan covers both economic and social infrastructure, and it identifies about 300 key projects that we need to implement over the next 30 years. And we hope it will be a guide not only for our administration, but for subsidiary administrations to make decisions on land use, budgeting, zoning, as well as subdivisions. We were motivated to this plan to link the state development plan to actual steps that we need to take to bring it to fruition. Today, we hope that this plan will be available for all of you and the citizens of Kaduna State to comment upon. It is a green paper, it's a consultation paper for which we hope will take feedback before concluding and publishing it. We hope to finance the plan through the budget, public debt, public-private partnerships, as well as external support. The plan has 5 objectives, and the objective number 5, I think, is the most important in my opinion: to create a conducive environment for public-private participation in infrastructure project development. We cannot do this alone. We need the private sector. And our job is to create the environment that will make the private sector the comfort to do this. The key aspects of the plan is that we will outline in that plan state infrastructure stock and infrastructure targets for the period 2017 to 2050, a period of some 34 years. We will also include in the plan infrastructure budget allocations, as well as considerations for socio-economic and politically related issues of environment, gender, employment, universal access, and inclusion. Each economic, social, and governance sector is examined and detailed out for you to give us your feedback. And each sector has benchmarks of infrastructure stock used to conduct the analysis. The plan also includes investment by local governments, because there are 2 tiers of government in Kaduna State. The state government will do substantially most of the contents of the plan, but the local governments also have a role. We also have what we call the priority project portfolio, based on the selection matrix and community choices. And what drove the selection of these key projects is their potential for job creation, GDP growth, poverty alleviation, and economic development. As I said, we finance the plan through a mix of budget, federal and state support, public debt, both domestic and external, PPPs, as well as joint ventures. We are also unveiling today sector implementation plans. As I said, going from the state development plan, we task each ministry, department, and agency to look at the state development plan and detail out what they need to do as their own component of the state development plan. The sector implementation plans were therefore developed to provide a basis for linking the SDP with the annual budget. Each ministry's programs and projects earmarked for implementation during the plan period up to 2020 and the sector development plan, which we will unveil later today. The second pillar is social welfare. In that social welfare programs, we did many things in 2016 which will continue, like the school feeding program, rehabilitation of schools, the protection and conservation of our cultural heritage. We want to establish school-based management committees for all our schools, and we are doing a lot of work under social rehabilitation and have brought all our primary health centers, primary health care under one. Over 50% of the 2017 capital budget is earmarked for social infrastructure, and 80% of this is on education. Indeed, 36% of our state budget is on education, because we believe that's an area we need to catch up a lot, which has 4 components. The first is justice. No peace is possible without justice. So we are going to accelerate the investigation of crimes, prosecution, and strengthen our Ministry of Justice to take over prosecution from the police. We are also investing in technology. We have acquired drones for the use of Nigerian Air Force in Kaduna for surveillance. We are installing closed-circuit television in Kaduna, and then we'll do the same in Zaria and Kapancha, again for surveillance of crimes. We are establishing an operations center that will bring all these technologies together to help our law enforcement agencies in monitoring and prosecution of crimes. In the area of community engagement, we hold regular town hall meetings. We have platforms to engage with our citizens, which I will talk about a little later. And finally, we aggressively support our security agencies. We provide communications equipment for them, vehicles, as well as other material like bulletproof vests to support the work of the federal government. The final component is governance. This I have already spoken about, what we are trying to do to reform our government, to make our local governments more effective, to engage more intensively in community engagement. And we have policy documents for every sector. If you come to Kaduna, you know where we want to take the state, where we're going. There is nothing that is hidden. We publish policy documents for every sector. But beyond that, we launch a public sector renewal and revitalization program to renew our public service, to bring in younger generation to our public sector, and encourage older, non-ICT compliant people to retire early. So how do we plan to get Kaduna to where we want it to be? As I said, our focus is jobs, social security, and equity. Our 2017 budget is a clear statement where we want to spend our money. This summarizes some of the key projects. On top is the CCTV camera and surveillance equipment for 1.57 billion, infrastructure projects like power, roads, the building. This year we are spending 20 billion naira with the support of the World Bank to rebuild all our primary schools. We realize that renovating congested classrooms will not work, so we are building 2 to 3 story primary schools all across the state. And I want to appreciate and offer our gratitude to the country director of the World Bank for the massive work he has done to enable us access these funds that we hope we get from June 2017. So these are some of the projects that we are doing. But what are our priorities in 2017 that you can hold us accountable when we come back here, inshallah, next year? This year we complete the Zaria Water Project, which has been going on for something like 30 years. We will engage in unprecedented rebuilding and equipping of our schools. We will also continue our massive program to rehabilitate, maintain, and rebuild township roads all across the state. Every local government headquarters in Kaduna State will benefit from township roads by God's grace. We are creating a green economic zone, an agro-industrial park along Abuja Road, and providing infrastructure for the mining of nickel in Dangoma in Jama'a local government, as well as gold in Birnin Gwari and our rural areas. We are also converting the local hospital on the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway into a world-class trauma center to save lives. We are expanding our post-harvest price support for our farmers to encourage them to do more. We are expanding the anchor borrowing program to cover 6 crops: maize, ginger, soybeans, tomato, sorghum, as well as wheat. We hope this year to kick off the Kaduna Light Rail, which will link Rigachuku with the refinery and go through the heart of Kaduna. We are establishing a special purpose vehicle that will borrow $650 million to implement this project. The state government is not borrowing this money. It's a commercial entity that will borrow and do this project via public-private partnership. We are also implementing an emergency nutrition intervention, particularly in our urban and rural areas, to reduce the number of our children that are malnourished. So why should we invest in Kaduna? There are at least 4 reasons. We have an experienced and educated workforce. We have the highest number of tertiary educational institutions in northern Nigeria, and we are working very hard to improve infrastructure. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, we have abundant natural resources. We are the largest producer of at least 3 agricultural products: maize, soybeans, and ginger. And we are second in tomato, potatoes, sugarcane, and sorghum. We have a large consumer market, about 10 million people. Over 80%, indeed 89% of our population are less than 35 years of age, so we offer a very huge pool of human resources. But beyond that, we are doing our best to make Kaduna investor friendly. We were recently ranked the best state in the ease of doing business by Nigeria's leading financial business league. We are also the transportation hub of northern Nigeria. There are investment in all key sectors, from agriculture, tourism, mining, transport, logistics, manufacturing, everything waiting for you. We are creating a very good investment regulatory framework. I've already talked about that. We have KADIPA, we have an investment policy, we have a very clear roadmap for investments. And the results are clear. In the last 1 year since we launched KEPA and started this program, the results are clear. We have 6 investments in the pipeline worth over $1 billion that will create 335,000 jobs and require 150,000 hectares of land. In the next 1 to 6 months, we believe 9 investments will come to fruition, others over the next 7 months to 10 years. So this is not just a talk shop. We are actually making progress in the areas of investment. The next chart shows how these investments are distributed by ministry. What is interesting is that every investor wants to start from the governor's office, and we do not mind. I spent considerable time talking to investors and persuading them that Kaduna is the best place to do business. 92% of all our investments were initiated from my address or from KEPA, which is under the deputy government, and the others from the Ministry of Agri, Water Resources, and Commerce, Industry, and Tourism. By sector, this shows how the by sector. And as far as the implementation level is concerned, most are at a very level because investment decisions take time, but we have a few that have been closed and no further action required. By investment side, next. So far we have seen many companies come to Kaduna. Some of them, and I will take a few to talk about. But if you notice, we have 3 universities that are here. Kaduna in the center of land, and we have the highest concentration of educational institutions, and more foreign universities want to come and locate to Kaduna, from a group that wants to establish a purely medical university to others that want to do more general purpose universities. And we are encouraging them, we are giving them all that they need. The next chart shows some of the investments. Mikapo is a potato investment, Anjit and EN Consulting, solar power, Jipatis, shopping mall, Dangote is tomato. Olam is building the largest poultry and feed mill in sub-Saharan Africa. Outsource is a business process operation, and Qualgate is engaged in food manufacturing. HSE is agriculture. I'll go very quickly through some of them. Under agriculture and agro-allied, we have these investments. Under transportation, we are negotiating with a very serious and credible group to establish the first maintenance, repairs, and overall facility for aircraft in the West Africa sub-region in Kaduna and Kaduna Airport. We are launching our bus rapid transit system, second to Lagos in the country. And as I said, this year construction will begin on our light rail system under EPP. We are doing a lot in the area of housing, and thanks to Zenith Bank, we have established the largest BPO facility in northern Nigeria with Outsource Nigeria Limited that is employing over 1,000 people working on 3 shifts a day. We've also established an ICT hub. This building was donated by Zenith Bank, and we are very grateful to them for their support. In the area of solar power, out of 13 solar companies that were licensed by NBET, Kaduna got 3 of them. 1/4 of them are coming to Kaduna, building solar plants up to 400 megawatts of electricity. We have 2 electricity projects nearing completion. The 30 megawatt hydro from Gurara is going directly into our industrial area. So from this year, we hope the industrial estate in Kaburi and Uganda will have uninterrupted power supply all through the year. We are also negotiating with Blue Camel and Somet to assemble solar panels in Kaduna. We've given them land, and Mahindra tractors from India will be assembling tractors here in Kaduna State. I've already talked about solid minerals, what we are doing, particularly gold and tin mining, as well as dimension stones. And we are trying to improve the infrastructure for tourism in the state, as well as investments in retail and entertainment. We heard that Kano State has rejected the location of a fifth city. We've invited them to Kaduna. We are working with private sector partners. We are working with private sector partners to locate a media city here in Kaduna. We'll make the movies for Kano people to buy and watch. We are privatizing our state-owned enterprises. virtually all of them, all the hotels, all the manufacturing, and our state-owned football club, Kaduna United, has already been privatized. We are creating special economic zones to encourage investors in getting them the necessary incentives to function. We are also doing PPP for key infrastructure like the ring road, as well as trailer parks at Tafa and Mararabanjas. By God's grace, within the next 1 year, you will not have trailers obstructing you at Tafa and Mararabanjas because we get them. In the area of human capital, we are working to develop the skills of our people. We are working with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to do a special program for women in investment and entrepreneurship in Kaduna. Kaduna will be the first pilot. And we also have other programs, KadInvest for graduates, KadInvest for those without education but wanting to acquire skills. We are working with Stanbic IBTC to develop entrepreneurship here and establishing an electronics academy to train our young people in the repair of phones, laptops, and so on. We are innovating our business apprenticeship centers, again, to give more skills. And here I want to acknowledge the support, very strong support we've received from the DFID Mapita program. We are very grateful to Her Majesty's government for the support. And we have done an unemployment survey. We have on our database over 500,000 unemployed youths in Kaduna that we'll be targeting to try to get them to be employed. And a Kaduna Entrepreneurship Network has already been established, and we have a job center to help citizens of Kaduna State get jobs. Last year, we formed the Ease of Doing Business Committee, headed by the Deputy Governor, that has done process mapping to make doing business with the Kaduna State government easy, make licensing easy. We are grateful for the support we got from DFID and the European Union in the process mapping work. But I'm happy to say that the Ease of Doing Business report was approved by the Executive Council, and the results are beginning to show. Africa Finance Corporation recently ranked Kaduna as the fastest growing state in Nigeria. We appreciate that. So let me conclude, ladies and gentlemen, and I apologize if I took more than 30 minutes, I don't think to me, with some announcements. The first is our Kaduna Infrastructure Master Plan. Is Kaduna 2018 to 2050, not 2050, that's the title. The Infrastructure Master Plan looks at the needs of Kaduna State, including population projections till the year 2050. As you know, by the year 2050, Nigeria will have a population of 450 million. It will be the third largest nation in the world in terms of population after India and China. And about 6% of that population will be living in Kaduna State. This master plan takes into account all these factors to lay out a social, economic, and fiscal infrastructure master plan for the state. We hope to unveil it today. It's in draft form, and we await feedback from you. We also hope to unveil our various sector implementation plans, one for each ministry, department, and agency or sector that were developed by the commissioners, permanent secretaries, and their team as to their commitment of what they are going to do from this year to 2019, when we will be up for another election. We are also unveiling today the Kaduna Comprehensive Security Architecture. This has become necessary because of the media headlines about insecurity. We think the headlines are exaggerated. The fact that you are all here and we have received the richest man in the world in Kaduna, flying directly to Kaduna, Bill Gates, his wife also visited a few months ago, is evidence that Kaduna is not as unsafe as it's being made out to be. Every day we receive diplomats, we receive international agencies here in Kaduna that are coming to see what we are doing as well as offer support, for which we remain eternally grateful. I've already explained the pillars of the security architecture, so I will not waste any more of your time. Today also, we hope to sign international development cooperation agreements with the UK Department for International Development, DFID, as well as the US Agency for International Development, USAID. I've already explained how much support we are getting from the World Bank, as well as Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the United Nations system. Today as well, we will unveil our citizen feedback platform, which is web-based. The Eyes and Ears platform is a tool that virtually every citizen of Kaduna State can be a project monitor, can be a project supervisor, because we can go to our projects and with a phone, once you download the app from Android Play Store or the iOS Store, you can take pictures, you can send us reports on how our projects are doing. If you go to a ministry and you are insulted by a civil servant, you can take his picture and send it to us for disciplinary action. We want to democratize access of our citizens to government, such that every citizen of Kaduna State will have a voice, and that voice is the Eyes and Ears platform. Today, we will unveil that, and it will be available free of charge on iOS and Android for all of you to download, and we'll show a little bit how it works, so that you join us in monitoring the project as well as the performance of our public servants. Finally, well, not finally, budget. Our budget for 2017 was approved by the State House of Assembly on the 22nd of December 2016. We are the only state that started the year with our budget. And I thank the Speaker and members of the House of Assembly for the very good work that they are doing. We hope to unveil that as well today. And finally, our ease of doing business chart. We've already made a lot of progress in terms of easing the life of investors in Kaduna, but we intend to do more. And today we are going to unveil what we consider to be a charter of commitments that you can hold us accountable when we come back to KadInvest 3.0 next year, inshallah. I thank you and welcome you once again to Kaduna. God bless you all.
We all put our hands together once again for His Excellency Governor El-Rufai. When it all started in Kaduna State with Madam El-Rufai, the slogan then that we rode on in Kaduna was making Kaduna great again. At the point where we are today with Madam El-Rufai and his team, we can confidently say that, God willing, Kaduna will be great again. Your Excellency, sir, may I do some recognitions of partners, international partners that you will be working with. These are partners who have shown interest in Kaduna State and believe in your dreams and aspirations for the people of Kaduna State. May I recognize the presence of Mr. John Komatros, Chairman, KADPMC of Flour Mills, Nigeria. Mr. Mohammed Darwish, CEO, IHS Towers. Mr. Marcel Moshet, CEO, Green Lake. Mr. Tarun Das, Managing Director, Mahindra for Springfield, Agro West Africa, Mahindra. Yusuf Bashir, Vice President, Kodas for Africa. Mr. Makul Matel, Country Head, Holland Foods, Nigeria. Mr. Michael Agogo, Managing Director, Picanto, Nigeria Limited. Mr. Rajiv Ben Nasser, Country Director, World Bank. Mr. Ben Malo, Country Director, DFID. And we also have Mr. Thomas Kish, Country Director, German Society for International Cooperation. Julian Koenig, Acting Mission Director, USAID. Mr. Stuart Samilton IV, U.S. Ambassador, U.S. Embassy. And we also have Harriet Thompson, Deputy High Commissioner, UK Embassy. We also have Mr. Michael Arion, EU Ambassador, EU Delegation. We also have Edward Callum, all of them with us. Of course, with the UNICEF country representative, the United States, Mohammed Malik Ford. Thank you for being part of it this morning. Mero.
Your Excellencies, with your kind permission, permit me also to acknowledge in our presence principal officers of Kaduna State House of Assembly. We have Honorable Mahmoud Inua, the majority leader, Honorable Yusuf Zelani, the chief whip, and we have Honorable Ali Chaki, among others. We welcome you all. We also have here the managing director of Peugeot Automobile Nigeria Limited, Al-Hadi Ibrahim Boy, and also a very renowned banker, Dr. Umaru Mutala. Your Excellency, we are, before we call our next personality for the keynote address, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, my dear Emir, my mentor, the great man of thought, please permit me to quickly invite His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, Al-Haji Sa'ad Abubakar III, for a goodwill message. Your Highness, Your Eminence.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When we got the governor's invitation a couple of months back for this program today, we are wondering why the government decided to involve us. But in a second thought, we realized the importance of Kaduna at the center and the capital of northern Nigeria. We realized the importance of Kaduna being safe, peaceful, and developed. Go down to all other states and cities in the north. We also recognize the importance of Kaduna being the melting pot, where we have all tribes, all religions, all nationalities living in this city and in this state. We therefore accepted the invitation and came down here to be part of this very historic program where we're being involved. We know our position as major stakeholders in the polity. We know our position as the traditional and religious leaders of this country. And I believe it's important for us to lend our support, put our weight behind such projects, such programs that will make the lives of our people much, much better. Because once you have a developed and productive society, you have less inactivities, and therefore you will have peace and stability. So we'd like to commend the Kaduna State Government for this program, and call on the Kaduna State Government and the Governor in particular to see the project here as the project for the North. Kaduna belongs to all of us, and Madam Nasru is the custodian, the key holder of this city, this state for all of us. Therefore, all of us must put hands together to make sure Kaduna is developed. And if Kaduna is developed and is peaceful, definitely majority parts of the north, you can say, will be peaceful and also be developed. We are major stakeholders, and therefore we must put all hands together, all put hands on deck to make sure that these projects come to reality. Therefore, thank the Governor for inviting us, and I would like to assure you we will continue to do our best to bring peace not only to Kaduna but to all parts of this country. This project must succeed. We don't have any second or any other option but to make sure this project, the governor is putting together for Kaduna State to succeed. Why we say so? Because to reduce unemployment, to reduce criminal activities, and to bring in more and more people. But to get this together, there must be peace. Nobody will come to any place to invest when there is instability. Therefore, must put politics aside, must come together, irrespective of the religious, political divide, irrespective of any ethnicity, put hands together and develop our areas. Our call is to our political leaders. Please put politics aside and take development of our people as the most important, because leaders are there led by Almighty God to take care of the spiritual and temporal needs of the citizens. And we must account for actions here and mostly here, but there, when we get to the great beyond, the Almighty Allah will ask us what we did with the leadership He gave us while on earth. So let's do our own part here and then leave the rest to our Creator. Put politics aside, use politics as one big vehicle that carries everybody along with a driver. You get to your destination, that is the office you are looking for, maybe as a government. When you get to that government house, throw the key away. No more politics. You are father to all, you are father of all, and bring all on board to succeed. That's the best way out for us, and that's the best way I believe not only Kaduna, all other governors must do if you want to succeed. Therefore, I'd like to thank the governor for these wonderful ideas. These are ideas, but ideas can become realities if we are committed, if we are serious, if we have the fear of God, knowing that leadership is a trust from God. Therefore, I'd like to commend the governor for this. I've always talked about programs that...
Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. Sir, thank you very much, sir. You're welcome. Your Excellency, we are now continuing with the last of our goodwill messages from this segment, and that is coming from a renowned banker of repute, international repute for that matter, a well-respected personality in the financial circles, Dr. Umaru Mutala. 2 minutes of your time, sir, is what we ask. Dr. Umaru Mutala, sir. Thank you, sir.
Excellencies, Eminence, and Royal Highness, other very distinguished invited guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I am here to pay my respects to His Excellency the Governor of Kaduna State, who organized this function. And if you look through the antecedent of His Excellency, wherever he goes, he
the affairs of that organization. You will recall he was at one time in the Bureau of Public Enterprises. From there, he was minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and of course he is now the executive governor of Kaduna State. In all these institutions where he has worked, he has set a very, very high standard, and it's always a very difficult task for anybody to try to achieve this standard he has set. And we look forward to really this state being a model state for not only the northern states but also for the other states of the Federation, because he has really made it. Look at the case of the use of Kaduna as the alternative airport for Abuja. You have seen how this has been well articulated, and in fact, we are hoping that this should not be just for the duration of the repair of the runway, but it to continue forever and ever. Because, the system is such that we need to have more than one or two international airports in this part of the country. And look at how the security has improved. Look at how the whole transaction has been so smooth. And I believe that this is all the effort of His Excellency the Governor, because he has worked very, very closely with the authorities and the federal government to ensure that this particular project succeeds. And I'm sure you agree with me that it has been a big, big success. Congratulations, Your Excellency. I would like to join His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, for all the issues he has, all the things he raised. He made mention of education. I would like to remind His Excellency that there is one college in the state which needs special attention, and that college is Balewa College. I think it needs very special attention, because that is the college that has produced so many leaders in this country, and I think there is a need for something like that to be really realized and utilized for the unity of this country. And I hope and pray that His Excellency will not forget this particular institution in his remodeling of unity of the country. And I also like to congratulate His Excellency for the appointment of the head of service in the person of the lady, I think the first lady, head of service in the president. Congratulations. I say this because she has been very hardworking, and I think she well deserves this appointment. And once more, I would like to join hundreds and millions of Nigerians who are either watching or attending this function for carefully arranging this particular engagement. And I would like to congratulate His Excellency and all the very efficient team. He has very efficient managers, and he really utilizes people. And that's what leadership is all about. How do you utilize people to achieve results for the benefit of the common man? Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Your Excellency, we are still taking on some recognitions here, and I recognize in our midst this morning Dr. Jumoke Wani, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Investment. Thank you for being part of us today. We also have Mrs. Iwande Sadi, the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Export Promotion Commission, also Investment Promotion, here with us this morning. We also have Zubairu Aliyu, representing the GND NNPC, here with us this morning. Ms. Obama, CEO, President of Shia Natural Bio Limited, India, who posts this farmer. And I also recognize with us Modu Buhari Safana, representative of the Honorable Minister, Federal Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Okichukwu Enelama. Thank you for being part of it this morning. And quickly to recognize one of us here, who's also in the service of government. That's talking about recognizing minority leader in Kaduna State. Thank you for giving your support to this project. We're taking on the next item on the program, which is the KeyNote Address. Now, one of the finest of the traditional institution has been saddled with this responsibility. He is a man that when he lends his voice to any issue, Nigerians are all around bound to listen to him. At all times that he has taken on the podium, he has come out with solutions to the problems of Nigeria, either in the economic sector or as it relates to the well-being of the Nigerian people. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, yes, this morning we'll be taking our KeyNote Address is the Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, UN of Emir of Kano. So, and he will be sharing his thoughts with us on the investment, he will be sharing his thoughts with us on promoting investments in the midst of economic challenges. Your Royal Highness.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Architect Barnabas Yusuf Bala, the Right Honorable Speaker, Aminu Abdullahi Shagadi, Your Eminence, Sultan Muhammad Saad Abu Bakr, Sarkin Musulmi, Your Excellency, Governor General Duke, Excellencies, members of the diplomatic corps, development partners, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a great honor for me to be invited to give a keynote on this occasion. And it was a great pleasure watching my friend and brother, Governor Nasir El-Rufai, talk to us about his vision for making Kaduna great again. I was a bit worried about that vision because it reminds me of Donald Trump's making America great again. And everything I know about Nasir tells me he's not exactly a Donald Trump double. You know, I've always talked about my friendship with Governor El-Rufai. We've been friends since we're teenagers. And as I said during the launch of his book, people keep asking me, how come you're always friends with this El-Rufai? And I say, I need him because he's the only person in the public space that makes me look like a moderate. Usually people go to my friends and say, including the Sultan now, they go to him and say, look, talk to the Emir of Kano. And everyone, talk to the governor, so talk to your friend, he's too radical. But what I find is that people come to me and say, please talk to your friend Nasir. And so long as I continue to have that, I'm comfortable that I'm not the most extreme and most radical public officer, so I have to keep close to Governor Nasir. I've been asked to speak on promoting investments in the midst of economic challenges. And maybe we should look at what these economic challenges are and take a broad view of the environment in which we are. Because we can't just talk about Kaduna State. Kaduna State exists in northern Nigeria exists in Nigeria, Nigeria exists in Africa, and Africa is part of a global infrastructure. So as we look at the investment environment in the world, we've got to look at what is happening in other parts of the world. What are the implications of a Donald Trump presidency and a return to US isolationism? What are the implications of Brexit for Nigeria, for the European Union? We have elections happening all over Europe. We don't know what they're going to come with. From the perspective of progressives and liberals, we've had a very good election in the Netherlands. We had a big scare, but Germany and France are still up in the air. We have a world that has seen of recent the emergence of hard right-wing leaders, and some have hardened as the years have gone by. So look at Turkey, look at Russia, look at Israel, look at China, even South Africa. Now, what does this say for the world in which we live? For multilateralism, for cooperation, for an interest in development, and for the big issues around poverty, unemployment, and so on. Now, we're obviously still in the tail end of the global crisis. Started since 2008, we're not really out of it. US interest rates have gone up, which is a sign that US economy is growing. There are signs of slow recovery in Europe. Our own economy in Nigeria is in recession. Let me start by saying that I will try very, very hard not to offend anyone. And let me, in any case, apologize in advance in case anyone is offended by what I have to say. So let's look at Nigeria, because this is the environment in which we live. We have a lot of good news coming out. You can see from the IMF Article 4 consultation. It's not as negative as we have been in the light of certain recent developments. But the environment remains challenging. Money supply growth, an inflation rate of almost 20%, multiple exchange rates, which are now beginning to see some convergence. The bad news politically. If you've been reading Nigerian newspapers for the last 2-3 weeks and watching Nigerian TV and following Nigerian social media, you would be concerned about the leadership. The conversation is not about electricity, about infrastructure, about education, about healthcare. In the last 1 month, all the conversation is about the National Assembly, the executive, the judiciary, conflicts between this politician and that politician, confirmation of EFCC. There has been no serious conversation around people, which is why I decided that I would attend this, because this is the first conversation I'm seeing that actually is not about politicians. Now, the problem with all that noise is that it has all the consequences of noise. No matter what you're doing, if you create too much noise, nobody sees your good work. Nobody sees progress on security. Nobody sees progress on the fight against corruption. All we see is a constant struggle between certain politicians and others, holding this entire country to ransom. And all of us have been sucked into it. So let me join the Sultan by calling on our political leaders at the national and sub-national level to please remember that elections are in 2019, not 2017. Nobody wins an election in 2017. It is not yet time. Let's talk about education and healthcare. But we all understand when we get to late 2018, you stop working and politicize. We all understand that. But it is too early to leave your posts. You can't be in politics for 4 years. And this is a big problem. So we're talking about the difficult economic environment. A lot of that difficulty is self-inflicted. Now let's talk about policies. I've spoken a few times on the economy. I think I've actually said enough. There isn't much to add, but what I will do is I will summarize what my position has been in the last 2 years. If you look at Africa in the so-called Africa Rising Decade, and you look at African economies and their GDP and ask yourself, what has been the major driver of growth in Africa? And why has that suddenly changed? You find that Africa Rising was a story that was built on 2 pillars. The first pillar was rising commodity prices, occasioned partly by the rise of China, the strength of Chinese and Indian growth. The second was rising debt. Because what happened was after the Paris Club and London Club negotiations, after the HIPC programs, African economies found themselves deleveraged, and then they quietly went on a borrowing binge, borrowing domestically to fund current expenditure, and that failed. And that was true of Nigeria, as was true of many other commodity-producing African countries. Now, as a country, we need to understand that the growth of Nigeria in the periods of high growth was driven largely by rising commodity prices and debt. And that model has now reached the logical limits. The collapse in oil price has made that very obvious. Today, if you're looking at debt, if you take the IMF Article 4 consultation report, the federal government of Nigeria is spending 66% of its revenue on interest on debt. 66%. Which means only 34% of revenue is available for capital expenditure, for recurrent expenditure, and for development. That model cannot work. If you look at the 2017 budget of the federal government, and I don't know if people are looking at those headline numbers, and I sometimes wonder what Nigerian economists are doing. The 2017 budget presented by the federal government, the amount earmarked for debt service is in excess of the entire non-oil revenue of the federal government. But that's not the problem. The problem is that it is also a budget that also goes for even more debt. So if you pay 66% of your revenue as interest, and you add more debt, where do you stop? 70%, 80%, when do you stop? And the key to fora such as this is that as a country at the national level, and as state governments at the sub-national level, we need to understand that the model of government borrowing and spending has reached its limit. Growth can only come from investment. Growth can only come from investment. It cannot come from consumption. It cannot come from the government balance sheet because it is some money. It cannot come from borrowing because you cannot borrow unsustainably and everybody from the federal government to the state and local government has to ask one question and one question only. How do I make Nigeria, how do I make my state, how do I make my local government, my emirate, the attractive destination for the scarce capital flying around the world? And I honestly do not think, either at the national or at the I have the head of NIPC here, I stand to be corrected. I don't think that mindset change has happened. And the way to see it is look at the budget. If you're still borrowing money to finance infrastructure, then you're still in that mindset of borrow and spend. We have governors. They go to China, spend 1 month on a tour of China, and what do they come back with? MOUs for debt. China will lend you $1.8 million to build light rail. You know, this light rail will be done by, the rail will come from China, the trains will come from China, the engines come from China, the labor comes from China, the driver is Chinese. At the end of the day, what do you benefit from it? Your citizens? You ride on a train. And when you ride on this train, if you're in northern Nigeria, if you're in cities like Kano or Katsina, if you ride on a light rail train, where are you going to? You're not going to an industrial estate to work. You're not going to school. You're not going to the farm. You borrow money from China to invest in trains so that your citizens can ride on the train and go for weddings and naming ceremonies. Because that is all that is happening. There is no economy. Why do you want a train if you need an economy? And, you know, these are what we, because at the end of the day, a nation and a state is only transformed by vision. Once that vision is flawed, every single thing that follows from that logically collapses, which is why I like the idea of an investment fund, because anyone who is interested in making investors, anyone who's like we listen today say, come and invest in Kaduna, has already made that mindset change and said, you know what, the growth of my economy is not going to come. It's not going to come from me borrowing money. Sorry, this is Chinese, so you've made the mindset that the growth of my system is going to come from me going to budget my balance sheet with even more debt to build roads. Why do you want the government to build power plants? Why do you want the government to build rail lines? If these rail stations, if this light rail is profitable, make it possible for a private investor to come and build it. Now, I say this because in northern Nigeria in particular, the governments need to conserve their resources for those areas where government has failed in the last few decades. We need to invest in education. We need to invest in healthcare. We are in denial. The Northwest and the Northeast, demographically, constitute the bulk of Nigeria's population. But look at human development indices. Look at the number of children out of school. Look at adult literacy. Look at maternal morbidity. Look at infant mortality. Look at girl-child completion rates. Look at per capita income. The Northeast and the Northwest of Nigeria are among the poorest parts of the world. Not just Nigeria. As far back as 2000, I looked at the numbers. Borno and Yobe states, UNDP figures go back to human development indices 2000. Borno and Yobe states, if they were a country on their own, were poorer than Niger and Cameroon and Chad. Nobody saw this because we're looking at Nigeria as a country that averages the oil-rich Niger Delta, the industrial and commercial-rich Lagos, the commercially viable Southeast, and you have an average. Break Nigeria into its component parts, and this part of the country is among the poorest. If it were a country, would be one of the poorest nations in the world. And we do not realize we are in trouble. Oh, by the way, I see that when Governor El-Rufai said they have moved the movie production to Kaduna, all the TV cameras turned on me. Let me remind everyone that I publicly opposed that opposition to the movie industry. Because as an economist, I know that setting up, building Kannywood is one of the major strategies that would have led to the growth of the economy of Ghana. We already had a comparative advantage. An industry that would have created jobs. We already have a youthful population that is being imaginative, that's producing good movie ideas that are popular. We're producing actors and actresses, costume designers, photographers, and that entire industry is now being moved to Kaduna. I'm sad that Kano has lost it. I'm happy that Kaduna is getting it. But this brings me to the next level of discourse at the subnational legislature, northern Nigeria, because we need to understand the roots of the problems of northern Nigeria. Kannywood is one example. Many years ago, maybe a decade, a little more than a decade ago, in Kano, a state governor who was a university graduate, who was a teacher, organized a public event at which books written by northern Nigerian authors were burnt. We set fire to books, you know, the kind of thing the medieval church used to do in the Dark Ages, burning books of science. It happened in Kano. Burning books. What is the crime of those books? They're writing about something called soyayya. And love apparently is supposed to be a very bad word. In a society where you don't love your woman and you don't love your children, you allow them to beg, you beat up your woman, why should anyone talk about love? Why? Because we have adopted an interpretation of our culture and our religion that is rooted in a 13th century mindset that refuses to recognize that the rest of the Muslim world has moved on. Today in Malaysia, you wake up and divorce your wife, that's fine. But you give her 50% of all the wealth you acquired since you married her. It's a Muslim country. In Nigeria, you wake up after 20 years of marriage, you say to your wife, I divorce you, and that's it. Other Muslim nations have pushed forward girl child education. They've pushed forward science and technology. They've pushed forward the arts. And you know, we have this myth in northern Nigeria where we try to create an Islamic society that never existed. You tell me that we should not write books on love in northern Nigeria? I don't know how many of you have read 1001 Nights? Have you heard of it? 1001 Nights, a book of Arabic love and erotica. That entire story was around the palace of the Caliph Harun Rashid, an Abbasid Caliph. The scholars that lived in the Abbasid period that we are quoting, the great scholars were alive when 1001 Nights was written. We are fighting culture, we are fighting civilization. Now, this is the context that Kaduna State finds itself in. Where the greatest challenges we have are one, we must wage an intellectual war. Because Islam is not univocal. There are many voices. There are many interpretations, there are many viewpoints, and we have for too long allowed the most conservative viewpoint to be in ascendant. And the consequences of that is that there are certain social problems. In 1960, land per rural hectare in Nigeria, per rural dweller in Nigeria was 2.0 hectares. Today, it is 0.9 hectares. In a decade, it is 0.5 hectares. Some of this has been environmental desertification, desalination. Some of it has been huge demographic explosion, and we do not want to address it. The age at which girls get taken out of school and married, the number of children that they have, having babies every year, the number of wives that people marry when they cannot maintain them and their children. These subjects have been taboo, but we cannot fix the North and get investment into the North until we confront these subjects. What is our attitude towards educating our girls? What is our attitude towards child spacing so that we can financially maintain and educate and bring up children? What is the purpose of a large population that is not educated, that is jobless, that is unemployed? Of what benefit is it to the North to have 3 million children out of school, roaming the streets begging? I can't conceivably think of any benefit to us as human beings, or as Nigerians, or as Northerners, or as Muslims, of having this army of unemployed beggars. And the system cannot cope. You have 250,000 out of school children today, you build the schools. By the time those schools are built, you have 500,000 waiting on the doors. So there has been, for me, in northern Nigeria, a complete failure of social policy. And for us to address social policy, we have to reclaim our religion. We have to look at what our religion actually says, as opposed to what culture says. And we have to have the courage to go through the path that all societies went through, which is to stand up and challenge intellectually worldviews. I mean, some of the examples are horrendous. I'm sorry, but a current issue yesterday, if it is true what I read, 200 people died of meningitis in the state. The governor was asked and he said, it is God's curse on us for the sins. for the sake of fornication, which apparently does not happen in America, which is why they don't have many judges. I mean, look, how have we reduced ourselves? What have we done as a people? That we have placed ourselves in this situation where simple things. It's a medical issue. You don't have vaccines, go and find vaccines. Treat those who have caught it. Don't give these kinds of explanations. But this is the mindset. And I have a degree in Islamic law, and I can tell you that that is not an Islamically correct statement to make. But these are the kinds of things that we have. And I think when we talk about a difficult environment, we realize that 90% of that difficulty we can address because it's self-inflicted. So how do we attract investment in this environment? Because remember that people still invest in Afghanistan. They invest in Russia, they invest in Iraq. Those environments are not necessarily better or less corrupt or safer than our environment. I think summits such as this are a beginning. I think this attitude that Governor El-Rufai has taken, where he appoints himself the Chief Marketing Officer for Kaduna State, has to continue. Because I spent many years as a banker, and as a Chief Risk Officer, and I did road shows. And I know that investors want to talk to the person who is responsible for policy, look into his eyes, listen to him and say, can I trust this man? And that is far more important than what they read in newspapers. Forget Boko Haram, forget Niger Delta, forget the politics. If Nasir El-Rufai sits down with investors in New York or London or Abu Dhabi and presents a clear program for reindustrialization of Kaduna Estate, shows how he's making electricity, how he's making infrastructure, how he's providing the manpower, how he's providing the security, how he's guaranteeing their returns, they will come and invest in Kaduna. But there's no way someone sitting in New York, unless he's extremely diligent, knows even about something called Kaduna. He sees Nigeria. He sees GDP declining. He sees exchange rate policies. He sees the rate of inflation. He sees Boko Haram. He sees, I mean, that is how the world works. The world works on sound bites. And he makes up his mind that, you know, if I'm going to Africa, this is a spot I'm not going into. It's for this summit and for the leadership of the state to actively say, how do I tell the Kaduna story? And you have to look at other issues as well, because Nasir, you have very complex issues with religion. You have Muslim and Christian leaders who have politicized religion, and they make a lot of money out of it. And they don't mind shedding blood in order to maintain those privileges. And you need to confront that establishment. You need to make it very clear that religion is important to our lives. We are all Muslims and Christians, but religion can never be used as a tool for destabilizing the environment, for creating insecurity, and for placing the state at risk. And anybody who does not live by those rules should face the law. Which is why I support you 100% in your commitment to pursue criminally. You know, if you're an imam or a pastor and you shed blood, you are a criminal, you are a murderer. No one doubts that you're an imam or a pastor, no one doubts your knowledge. But your knowledge is one thing. The act of killing a human being is not knowledge, it is a crime. And you should go to jail for it. You can be a pastor in jail. So, you know, until we have governors who are ready to stand up and say, you know what, there is a limit to how much we are going to just fold our arms and allow human beings appropriate our own religions for selfish reasons and create insecurity, chase away investors, kill human beings, make life difficult for everybody. And in all this time, they're getting richer and richer. Most of them did not do. There's nothing in the wealth that they have that can be linked either to their level of education or even to their knowledge of the religions that they preach. It's all politics. And this is one good thing that I commend you for. I commend you for your investment in education. I commend you for your clear articulation of policies. I commend you for your bilateral engagement with investors. And as your friend, who is more moderate than you, I urge you to be a little more moderate. to be a little more diplomatic. I have learned over time that we all have to sometimes, you know, we angry by something. There are things that you see that anger you, and you just leave, you know, and face the bigger battles. I know you like fighting every battle. As your friend, I say, identify the big ones, learn to tolerate the small ones. Pass some to your deputy governor. Which is, you know, when the Sultan sends me to represent him at functions, I always say that I'm speaking for myself and the Sultan. And the way you'll know the difference is that anything that is not controversial is from the Sultan, and the rest is from me. So I have a note here saying that it's a bit hot in the hall. I don't know if it's my speech that's making everyone hot or all those lights. But let me just sum up. I think that in summary, the growth model for Africa, for Nigeria, for the states in Nigeria has to change. Growth is not going to continue coming from rising oil prices. Growth will not come from borrowing and spending government money. Growth will come from investment. I think we should recognize that investors are both local and foreign. Aliko Dangote has invested more in Nigeria than any foreign investor. And there are many local investors. So we need to create an environment in which we attract and encourage domestic capitalists to invest. Because first, it keeps the money in Nigeria. It provides great long-term security. We can link them up with foreign partners as shareholders who would like to exit later after bringing in the technology and the skills. But we need to encourage Kaduna State indigenes, Nigerian entrepreneurs to invest in Kaduna. We need to tell the story of Kaduna and its history as a capital of northern Nigeria. Talk about the Kaduna Industrial Estate. Dr. Mutadab talked about a school called Barewa College. I'm a King's College boy. I was compelled by the Sultan to clap. For those who do not know, King's College produces all the progressive Nigerian intellectuals, and Barewa produces all the conservative northern aristocrats. And I would really encourage you to invest a lot in Barewa and try to make it look more like King's College, and produce more progressive and radical northerners. We need them at this point in time. But frankly, I think that there's little to add. This is the first step. And I like the fact that you're going back to say, this is what we did last year, because accountability is important. And I do hope, for the sake of Kaduna State, that every politician in Kaduna, whether he's in Nasser's party or in another party, is watching. And I do hope that because Nasser will leave office, if you have a vision of 2018 to 2015, when Nasser leaves office, whoever steps into those shoes, from whichever political party, should just continue with this movement. It does not hurt anyone to build on the work of his predecessor. It does not hurt anyone. I think this is why the traditional history of the North has survived. We all built on the works of our fathers. Nobody wants to destroy what his father has done. We see what they did, we built on that vision. And that's how you build a 40, 50-year vision. So I have said enough. Like I said, I have tried not to offend anyone. I apologize in advance, and I apologize again in arrears in case anyone has taken offense. I wish you all the best. Nasser, I wish Kaduna State the best. And I do hope that all the governors in the North will adopt this and will focus on this. We do need these investments. We do need investors to come in from within Nigeria and from outside. We need investors in agriculture, in industry, in power. We need to create jobs, but more importantly, we need the governments to focus on education, especially the girl child education and on ICT. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, I can see that. Standing ovation by His Royal Highness the Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, Commander of the Order of the Niger, who spoke very, very well, having researched his presentation very well, and taken from the Islamic jurisprudence, where in northern Nigeria, majority of us is the doctrine that we seem to be following. Okay, and even had time to inject a little bit of some humor into it. We thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. Moving ahead, before the keynote address, we actually invited 3 people for 2 minutes of goodwill messages. We'll just take 4 more, and then we'll be out for tea break, please. Please do persevere with us for a little. We are starting with the Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, Professor Umaru Nambata, for 2 minutes. Then we have Mr. Shegun Oloketui from Wema Bank, and then Mr. John Bomo, Chairman Bond, and Mr. Fatai Olarin, the MD of the Lords. Okay, Professor, sir, can we have you, Professor Lambata? As he makes his way here, I want us to welcome Mita Onota, one-time Chief of Staff to His Excellency Malam Nasir El-Rufai, and presently the Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, Hajia Hadiza Bala Usman. We welcome you, ma'am.
Your Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, Your Royal Highness, and my role model, the Emir of Kano, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, Your Excellency, the former Governor of Cross River State, Mr. Donald Doak, or is it a Dr. Donald Doak? All right. I would like to observe the remaining protocols, ladies and gentlemen, and use my 2 minutes to congratulate the Kaduna State Government through His Excellency, Madam El-Rufai, with whom I have associated for the last 2 years, and who has greatly assisted the Nigerian Communications Commission in ensuring that we come up with our own strategic vision, incidentally coinciding with that of the Kaduna State Government, of course, in a different area. This vision we have for the NCC is a vision that is intended, to drive the telecommunications sector of the Nigerian economy, a sector that I keep saying that is shown and is showing remarkable resilience. So planning is very, very important, and I saw a PowerPoint presentation that His Excellency made, and I was fascinated. And I think I'm going to borrow a link to look at my own strategic vision one more time, Your Royal Highness, and borrow one or two things in order to make it, more effective, more targeted, and maybe bring it back into proper track. That will lead to the actualization of the mandate given to us by the federal government of, driving development in the telecommunications sector of the economy. I share with your vision, Your Excellency. I share with it openly, and I share, your vision quietly. I do consult with you from time to time in order to ensure we do the right thing for the telecom sector, for the country, and particularly for the economy. And this is also consistent with an important item, Your Excellency, of our strategic vision, and that item is strategic collaboration and partnership. And I hope we can be able to, within the fabric of that item, that important item of our 8-point agenda, collaborate with the Kaduna State Government, partner in some key projects lined up for execution, so that we can be able to contribute our widow's mite as an agency of the government to the development of this part of the country that was so proudly off. And therefore, I'll leave it there and congratulate you one more time, as well as the good people of Kaduna State. I'm really delighted to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Morogara Ablata, Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Next is from Wemabank, Mr. Sheldon Uloke-Tui. Okay? Get ready to. One of my role models, an outstanding journalist and chairman of one, and also chairman of channels, Mr. John Mama. Next after Mr. Sheldon, please.
Your Excellency, Governor, Kaduna State, Your Excellencies present here, the Sultan of Sokoto, my boss, my friend, and my brother, the Emir of Kaduna, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I address you at the commencement of the second annual Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit. The maiden edition held here and has drawn a lot of applause and continues to attract positive feedback on several fronts. But more significantly, we have begun to see the fruits of last year's engagement by the state government across different sectors of the economy. And the governor's presentation here earlier today alluded to that fact. In his 2016 budget speech to the State House of Assembly, His Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, said, and I quote, "Our program is structured to ensure that poverty does not stifle a child's ability to gain decent basic education or kill a pregnant mother during childbirth, and that young people have skills and access to finance to actualize their agency in creating jobs or in doing well where they are employed." Today, Kaduna ranks highly in the country amongst the states in the ease of doing business. In the last quarter of 2016, Fitch Ratings assigned a rating of A+ to Kaduna State to reflect its low risk relative to the country's best business rating. The state's outlook remains stable according to the same institution, that is Fitch, given the commitment to improving transparency and disclosure within state business, within the state in the conduct of business. Also, the government's disposition to the use of technology as a competitive edge is also something worth of emulating by other states. Kaduna Internal Revenue Service automated pay in 2016, and this has significantly more than revenue leakages and raised IGR from 13 billion in 2015 to 18 billion in 2016. The process of acquiring certificate of occupancy on land has also been automated in Kaduna State. And actually watched a television program where so many citizens of this state testify to the ease of getting of home and at affordable cost in Kaduna State. I say kudos to the state and to the government. However, we know there's still a lot to be done. Kaduna State, given what we have seen today, is not resting on its oars. In the words of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and the Premier of United Arab Emirates, he said, "Many leaders promise, but we deliver. By the special grace of God, Kaduna State will also deliver." The state's ability to continue along this trajectory is largely dependent on its focus on delivering quality governance and quality human resources. At Wema Bank, that is the mission we strongly believe. While it's an immense pleasure to participate in the summit today, personally and on behalf of my bank, I also believe there's an urgent need for tangible investment in Kaduna State at the present time. As such, today, which is the commencement of the summit of 2017, also marks the day that Wema Bank is opening, should I say reopening, its branch in Kaduna. We took a 5-year break and we are back here to support the state, to support the program of the state in economic development. Wema Bank is pleased to be associated with Kaduna State. We remain committed to the growth of the state and to the governor's economic agenda, ensuring Kaduna State plays a critical role in ensuring a robust and truly diversified Nigerian economy. Wema Bank, like I said earlier, we took a 5-year break to properly realign our business model, and then we rolled out a branch expansion again. And we are happy to be back in Kaduna. Once again, it's my pleasure to be here today on this occasion, and I would like to thank the Executive Governor of Kaduna State for this opportunity to address this gathering and pray that the Almighty God bless this event and bless Kaduna State. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria and
Thank you very much, Weber Bank. And that is an endorsement and sign of confidence in the administration of Kaduna now. You're welcome back to Kaduna. On the platform of nothing, with the deregulation of the media, especially the electronic media, this gentleman stands tall from absolutely nothing when he started, okay, as a private investor, to what it is now, a conglomerate, channels, television, okay, international. Here we have the chairman, chief executive of channels, and also the chairman, broadcasting organization of Nigeria, the great journalist, Mr. John Momo. Can we hear that his voice, formerly Obeti, the news, John Momo.
Your Excellencies, Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here today to have my voice to the giant strike to be made by the government of Kaduna State. What a great setting it is for this summit. Kaduna is a city that holds lots of potentials for economic growth. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for inviting me to be part of this. It's very important summit. Many thanks are also due to the all-star team for their assurances about the economic viability of Kaduna State. And I see a positive outlook prevailing at this summit. Because if you look around you, you cannot but notice the huge number of potential investors who have turned up today. And that says a lot about the future of our great country, Nigeria, and more particularly, Kaduna State. Kaduna's vision is to make Kaduna great again. And as the Emir of Kano said, not like in a Trump-like manner, but in a manner that will make the state the destination for business and the food basket for northern Nigeria. As we come out of the recession in the past few months, the future looks very bright for this state. Yes, there are more challenges and opportunities on the horizon, but as entrepreneurs, we must not lose sight of the opportunities. And the enabling environment which has now become the hallmark of the El-Rufai government. With such a focus and a dose of ambition, we can all achieve. And that's why our company, the Channels Media Group, has concluded plans with the state government to anchor a media hub in the Millennium City. The hub will be a place where we will celebrate our ability as Nigerians to discover and to learn, to build, to question, to imagine and reimagine, to create and recreate new ways of doing things, and to connect and work with each other to transform Kaduna State. We are proud to be associated with the government of Kaduna State because we believe in the team, in the government, because the governor and his team represent all the hope, all the opportunity, all the optimism that an interconnected world such as we now live in presents. So let me say a few words about how we can all make an impact, and this has been espoused by the Emir of Ghana. Let us start by advancing the frontiers of knowledge. For as the adage goes, knowledge is power. This adage is as true today as it was before, and it will even be truer in the future. Many strands of scientific knowledge were ahead of their time. Newton with the Newtonian laws, Einstein with his theories of quantum mechanics and relativity, both theories that are helping us to understand the world better. I'm hoping that as entrepreneurs we will join hands with the Kaduna State government to explore and advance the frontiers of knowledge and invariably create a system of innovation and enterprise that will help address not only the problems of the state, but also Nigeria's problems. So let's all put our minds to it, invest in this state, invest in the country, and the rest, they say, will be switched off. So here's wishing you a most successful second investment summit, and I wish you all well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. John Momo. Please, I need to tell you that Your Excellencies, we are actually being beamed live. We're live on channels television right now. All over the world, we are being watched. So, Kaduna Invest 2.0 has gone international, as a matter of fact, through channels television and other media services. Thank you very much again. Last but not least, before we go for the break, is Mr. Fatai Olari, the MD Chief Executive of the law. Mr. Fatai Olari, okay? Deloitte, MD Chief Executive. Please, we give you 120 seconds, or 60 seconds.
Very much. I'm President your Royal Highness, Seminars, Emir of Sokoto, the Royal Father, Kanu, thank you very much for being here. Excellency, Governor of Kaduna State, and the Deputy Governor, thank you for inviting us here. The distinguished gifts and gentlemen, thank you for being part of this session. Today is a testimony of what Kaduna State has done to the northern state of Nigeria. As said by the Royal Fathers, this is not just about Kaduna State. It's about opening the northern section of the country to the realities that we are ready for investment. It's also a challenge to the northern state that Kaduna is doing something about. And we can turn the tide of negativity by the northern state in Nigeria to success. And like El-Rufai worked, he prepared the state for what we experience today. He worked hard to make sure that the state is the only state that is rated stable by Fish, one of the world rated rating agencies. And in doing this, we work with an amiable team, a team of civil servants and professionals that has helped the state to put the state on a good map and be ready for investment. We at Deloitte, having worked with you within this short period, are delighted to say that we are satisfied and happy with the success and the progress you have achieved in governing the state. Kaduna State is ready for investment, and we encourage everyone, both internationally and nationally, to come to Kaduna State. Thank you very much.
Okay, we thank you. With those 7 endorsements, we have not really come to the end of the opening session, but at least we have come to the end of this segment. We'll take a break. I want to sincerely apologize for the heat here. Our engineers, our technical people are fervently trying to do something about it, and I'm sure by the time we come back from the tea break, everything would have been resolved. Please, we apologize for the inconveniences for now. It's time for tea break. Please, if you have any of the contents like this, 1 or 2, 1, you are in the first cubicle just behind us there, number 2, this cubicle behind. If you don't have any, please go outside and go half of this hall. There are tents, tables, and chairs for the rest of us. These numbers are actually for the special guests. And you know, everywhere you are, we have hierarchy and we have respect, okay? Please endeavor to obey our instructions. We thank you very much. Your Excellency, you may lead your guests to the first tea break of the day. Enjoy yourselves, everybody, and thank you. Special guests are going to cubicles 1 and 2. The rest of us that do not have any inscription, no paper.